is a sequel of 3500 years BC ago now that occurred in Ayodhya town. The prince who was being considered for kingship was scooped up by a notorious horse. Check out how he overcame obstacles in life to stand up. This is an ancient Puranic story from 3500 years of BC ago now. King Dharma Sen had ruled his realm in Vinit Navar intelligently and generously. He had many queens and the chief queen Gunmati had a son named Varang, the eldest, exceptionally attractive, graceful, and had all signs of a prospective king. Besides, he cared for the public and respected senior people. Having possessed the qualities of a king, Dharma Sen, in consultation with all ministers, Prince Varang was chosen as the next king. An auspicious date for his Rajtilak was announced. His stepmother and her son were not comfortable as she wanted her son should be proposed to for the kingship. A minister of the realm who was close to the younger queen was called on for the way to his son be the king. However, this minister also advised the queen his son was not suitable for kingship. Even though the queen insisted him to find the way, the minister told the queen he will look into it. In the meanwhile, a businessman visited the king to sell his two exceptional breeds of horse. All persons of the royal court, including Prince Varang, were happy with the quality and build of the horses. But both required a training spirit for the use of the royal purposes. For their training, the concerned minister was given the responsibility, and this minister was very happy for getting a chance in implementing his plan for ousting Varang from the dynasty. He trained the white horse in the usual way while the black one was trained with the opposite command. After 4 months of training, the minister brought them to the royal garden to show the kind of training given. The black one was tied up at a side while the minister was on the white one, who played better than anticipated. Prince Varang in excitement wanted to test the black one tied to by side. He approached the black one and rode on his back. As he commanded, the horse that went out of control and flew out of the palace. The king shouted to take hold of the horse that picked up my son with bad intentions. Many chased him but could not hold up him. The controlling of the horse made him speed up faster, and finally, he fell in on the land along with the rider Prince. The horse left life while Prince also lay down near him. He got up and went under a tree for some rest and waited for his men who were after him, but all in vain. After some resting, he stepped forward and found a beautiful lake. He took a bath and also swam away as an exercise to get relief. Then he slept under a tree with a cool atmosphere. After some time he heard a sweet voice, "Get up," and he observed a gorgeous lady like an angel who offered some fruits. Prince inquired about her introduction, and she spoke. "I am a princess and live with my father in a palace nearby who was earlier a king. Don't worry about yourself and you can stay with us. Soon after we can marry." Prince did not accept her proposal. "Am I not beautiful and to your level?" "Of course, exceptional, but I need the presence of my parents and their note." The princess tried her best to attract and deviate from his firm views. He did not prepare to go ahead. That lady was a Devi of the forest who wished to test him for his firm views. She came to her form and asked, "What I can do for you? Kindly let me know the way that goes to a city." Afterthought, she said, "One Shet is going toward a big city, and I can help you to reach there within no time." So she brought him near Shet by her power. Prince Varang met a wealthy man, Shet, who was on a business tour and was returning to his city. Prince Varang asked the Shet Sarthapti, "Can I accompany you?" Shet glared at him and saw a young, attractive personality. "Pl, introduce yourself." Varang told him, "I am Charitra Bhatt of the Vaishya community." Within a short period, Shet felt about his intelligence and the nice way of talking. After 1 hour, Shet offered him a horse to ride and also arranged for food, etc. The whole day they moved, and before sunset, selected a suitable place for a night stay. Shet was very kind toward him. Just after dinner, hundreds of robbers attacked Shet for robbing of wealth earned during this trip. Although Shet had all kinds of arrangements to meet the diversity, he ordered his force to fly them away. The head of the army and his strong team went on fighting, but the robbers appeared stronger than the army. Bhatt was watching the fight and felt the weakness of the army that needed additional support. He said to Shet, "If you permit me, I can fight them." "Be stay, why you want to get killed, and if our army gets defeated? They will rob us of wealth, and I am prepared to surrender. Don't worry." The army head came to consult Shet about the possibility of defeat, and meanwhile, Bhatt took out his sword and ran toward the field of fight. Shet shouted to the army chief to go and save the poor chap. Bhatt ji fought with the robbers, and within an hour the 100 robbers fell in on the field, and the rest thought it is better to fly away from the field. Charitra Bhatt was wounded badly and then came back. Shet ji started weeping to see the condition of Bhatt. He called his Vidya and others to help Bhatt with an early recovery. Charitra Bhatt was wounded badly and then came back. Shet ji started weeping to see the condition of Bhatt. He called his Vidya and others to help Bhatt with an early recovery. He sat the whole night near to him and was murmuring why you took the risk of his life. The next morning, Katti Bhatt got up and looked better and gave a smile to Shet ji, who told, "I have no son, and will you be my son?" Katti Bhatt agreed, and Shet was very delighted. He was declared to be his son by all means. It was decided to stay a day more for the rest of Katti Bhatt. Additionally, Shet also wanted to have a grand show for the potential of his son. So sent some of his people to the city the arrangement of a welcome show with the news of his brave son, who alone slayed down 100 robbers. The king of the city was also surprised to know about a Vaishya who chopped off robbers. The next day he was heavily welcomed by the people of the city for his attractive personality. The whole day was spent in social work and then reached in the evening at home. Shethani and her daughters were too happy to see his gorgeous brother. Varang was well known as the son of the Shet Sarthapti Sagar of Lalitpur city in the name of Charitra Bhatt. He was the dignity of the Vaishya community for his qualities. The king of Lalitpur, Dev Sen, stood well with the public and had 4 prime ministers with special characteristics, many beautiful daughters, and a graceful big-size white elephant. These were the elegancy and popularity of his dynasty around the regime, along with self-power. Besides, everything was okay, once a diplomat of a most powerful ruler approached Dev Sen for a proposal of a relationship with his eldest daughter Sunanya. The proposal reveals that King Dev Sen has to give his special elephant as a marriage gift. The king was alone in his chamber with the diplomat who was dictating the terms of marriage. The king could not tolerate the arrogance and called a barber to cut his hair half cleaned. While going back, the diplomat said to the king, "Be prepared for a battle," and a befitting reply. He called all the prime ministers for consultations for onward preparation for an expected battle to take place. All ministers said him for his good action and suggested various measures. Warfare preparations at both ends were in full swing, but King Dev Sen had an internal fear of defeat. After a long thought, he announced in his realm whosoever will help him in winning the war will be crowned with half the dynasty and a wedding with his daughter. Kati Bhatt asked his father Shet about the necessary help the king needed. Every citizen must extend their help to reinforce the king in time to rescue him. Shet told Bhatt to restrain himself. It is a perfect war, and killing robbers cannot be equated with this battle. Wait and see, and do not poke your nose unnecessarily. After a lapse of a few days, Kati Bhatt told his father Shet that I had given my name for the war. It would have been better and graceful if you proposed to me for his help. At last, Shet agreed, and the next morning they went to meet the king, who was sitting alone in his chamber. King saw the first time the Shet and his son approached him. At a glance, the king's inner voice told him for a 20% win in the war. Shet said to the king about the strength of his son in fighting with robbers, hence I offer my son for the warfare. The king was very happy to hear this and got up from the royal chair to step downwards. Called his son for embarrassing him with love and gratitude. While embarrassed, the king felt from his body's potency that there is a chance of winning the war by 30%. He asked Bhatt to select the weapons from the weaponry gallery. He was being watched by the king for his selection of weapons, and he felt about his winning by more than 50%. The king was now comfortable, and both used to consult each other. This rumor reached to others for hiring a young person from the Vaishya community, and they all laughed and made fun of it. On a date, both forces came face to face. The kings were on their respective elephants, and their princes were on their horses with the appropriate weapons. The prince of other forces was very curious to see Kati Bhatt, who stood in his front. Coming near Bhatt and said to him with a joking smile, "Leave the ground, why are you so curious to quarrel? In one shoot your head will be chopped away. I don't want my name to be dragged in defamation for the killing of a Vaishya." The wording warfare was on, and Kati Bhatt told him, "Don't murmur too much, come and see the potency of a Vaishya." The forces on both sides were very curious to witness the war between the two princes of different categories. After wording action, both got involved in battling with all means. Another prince soon realized it would be a tough fight, and Bhatt ji is a well-trained person. In the presence of both kings, Kati Bhatt chopped his head with a sword. The king of that prince was stunned but yelled loudly, "I see you." Mostly kings fight each other, and so both came in front, and there was intense fighting between them. Kati Bhatt realized his king needed reinforcement, otherwise he may lose the war. So he came in between, and the other king shouted, "Are you in a hurry for going to heaven? First I cut your head and afterward to your king." In half an hour of fighting, Kati Chandra Bhatt caught him alive, and the war was over. In this war, One crown prince was killed only. The king surrendered and accepted his defeat and left the realm for the forest. His younger son became the next king under Dev Singh. The next day a grand show was organized for the winning ceremony. King Dev Singh presented half of its monarchs and offered the eldest princes for the wedding as committed, but told him to talk to his father Shet in this respect. Shet Sarthapti gladly accepted the relationship and in due course they got married. Kati Bhatt stayed now in another palace along with the father's family. He was so handsome, the king's second daughter fell in love, but Kati did not respond to her. King came to learn but kept mum as he did not want the other daughter to marry a Vaishya. Dev Singh quickly rose to the position of the powerful king of the government thanks to Kati Chandra Bhatt's expansion of the realm. A true story account of a powerful king who had with a deep sense of compassion. How can you imply it in your life?